Everyone, welcome to the Mastermind Book Club, to another session of a very important and fulfilling book for many of us. Tonight, we're reviewing part one of a book that has been recommended by Gina, and Gina will introduce this book and tell us why she picked it very quickly, and then give her 1 to 2 minute summary on what she thought about this book. Gina?
Thank you. Thank you, David. The book is The Better Angels of Our Nature by Steven Pinker. And the reason I introduced it because I thought we could use some good news in these times that we're living in, because all we hear, all the time is about some of the problems that we have in society. We have so many problems here and there. They keep, the media keep calling out that the world is just in such a bad situation. We're just not as, good or better off than we were some time ago. So when you look at this book, it tells you that all of that stuff is really not true, that mankind has progressed and we have learned how to become more and more civil with each other. A couple of things that they mention at the top is that the creation of nation states had something perhaps to do with it. There's a correlation between when states were created back a long time ago. Instead of people just gathering by themselves and having their different little tribes here and there and fighting against each other, when states were created, then it was in the better interest of the state to have people behave themselves. And another one that they mentioned, and I'm going to leave it up to you guys to say the rest of them, was the creation of the printing press. And to me, that makes a lot of sense, because if people are being more educated, they understand the world a little bit better. And perhaps they're not so easily swayed by some of the things that, other people who may not know what they're talking about come out with. So anyway, it was to give some of us some idea that perhaps things are a bit better than they were in the past. David?
Thank you, Gina. I appreciate that. And things seem to be better than they were in the past, but although people don't necessarily know that reality. Charles?
Good evening, everyone. Pretty much my take on what I've read so far and listened to is that we sensationalize violence to a degree, but with this sensationalism, the violence has gone down, because if you actually look at the numbers, since World War II, the people have strived to be more civilized. They strive to be more peaceful with one another, and with the technology, you have a decrease in crime. And I believe that the book hits on some great points. I look forward to getting more into it, that if we can just be more cohesive with one another, respect each other, and show each other just a level of I guess love, we can continue to decrease the violent episodes. Thank you.
Reggie? Thank you, Charles. Thank you, Charles. That is the truth, what you just said. We can
to echo what's already been said, or at least to add to it, if you look at situations around you without a bigger lens, you would tend to think that society, people, the world was coming to an end almost, right? But also there's rhetoric and different, texts that will speak to this, whether you you read the Bible and, this is the end of days and these types of things. But at the same time, I mean, you can also, with the fact of just things that they have pointed out in the book and looking at various statistics across all a number of different issues or parts of society or things that are going on with respect to, just without naming them, but there are all kinds of changes that are showing a decrease for the most part, minus like maybe suicide bombings and that sort of thing. But ultimately what you have seen is that there has been a decrease in these. There's a lot of kickback in the mic.
Hold on one second.
Has to close her mic.
Okay, go ahead. Got it.
So there's a lot of kickback. I mean, sorry, there's a lot of decrease in terms of a lot of the areas of unrest and lack of civilism and civilization, like lack of us being civil in a whole bit. But the thing about it is, at the same time, I would look at the fact that some of that, yes, is happening, but what's kind of a little upsetting or disturbing is the fact that people there's always people at the helm of this, right? And the fact that people or need laws and governance over themselves in order to police themselves, right? That we can't always necessarily be what we need to be without us being told what to be or told how to do things. And so sometimes what happens is that without some type of penalty, as it has been spoken to, the fact that there have been certain penalties and such has kind of kept people, in order, right? So that's something that to me is a little bit off, because I wish people we have within us all types of natures to be anything, and anyone that might say, oh, I can't do that, that's not me or whatever, that's not actually like you not knowing yourself, because everyone has within them all the abilities to do all kinds of things. But the thing about it is that if we, as Charles alluded to, and if we just basically be better with each other, show more decorum, show more love, operate out of that space from the heart, caring, just being the truer or better nature that we are, the good side of our nature, we can then basically live in harmony and peace, and we'll see continued increase of good, quote unquote, good in the bad, if you will, going away. So I think that's something to be kind of pointed out. And the goal here is that we, as people who know better, that we can be a part of the change that makes it such that we see a better world coming true or through, and seeing the negatives and the things that we wish not to happen kind of fall to the wayside, or at least much more to a degree, because it won't all go away, but at least we can begin to see change happens that actually is something that we can kind of clap and be rejoiceful over.
Thank you, Reggie. Thank you. This book, the better angels within of our nature, is very appealing, and it brings out a lot of very interesting points. Most people would think that it's a negative book because it talks about crime, and crime is abhorrent. However, it is a lucrative business for those who are involved, and obviously we're not involved, meaning it could be lucrative for criminals, and it could be lucrative for those who manage criminal systems around the world. However, we are testament that El Salvador, the president of El Salvador, Bukele, has limited the business that has prevailed in his country for many, many years. And there has been an immense change within the last year. And that alone sets a precedence in that, are you going to continue to give prisoners the privileges that have existed, or are you going to continue to let them do whatever they want, or are you going to stop and make them feel as a prisoner should feel? I don't know what is the right terminology. Maybe I'm completely wrong. However, this is one thing. Number one, the more education in society, the less of a possibility there is for, in general, crime to happen. Obviously, even educated people commit crimes. I'm not saying that they don't, but anyone can commit a crime. That's number one. But number two is belonging to a community, whether it's a religious community or a health community or a work community, spiritual communication community, whatever it is. Even this Mastermind community assists and guides people in the right path through life, and veers them off from committing regular nonsensical crimes which have been committed throughout the ages. However, most crimes have decreased, even though there's a surge, and you hear in the news that there is crime. The amount of crime compared to history is, in general, much less than what it used to be. This book is very important, especially for those of us who want to understand that although an abhorrent crime may exist where 10, 20, 30 people are killed, it is horrible. However, it does not determine that the world is in peril or that everyone is going to die tomorrow and so on, because that is what we tend to look at as an individual, is look at the most negative parts of what's happening. So this is it for our part one review of what's the name of the book again? The Better
Angels of Our Nature by Steven Pinker.
By Steven Pinker. Next week we'll look at the second part of the book, and just note that Steven Pinker has a lot of information on this, a lot of statistics. And although we could go into statistics for on and on and on, we're just looking at the summary and letting you know how important this book is to read, to understand, and to be aware that although negative things exist around you, like crime, it is much less than what used to happen 100 years ago, 200 years ago, 500 years ago, and so on. This is the Mastermind Book Club signing off. Until next week, where we'll review the second part of this book. Take care.